Hello, 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 ladies. It's another Thursday night. How are y'all doing? Let me know in the comments. How are you doing tonight? Having a productive Thursday? Let me know in the chat. This is the last day of the month, last day of Black History Month. This is a leap day because this is a leap year, all of the things. March is the start of an awesome month. Women's History Month is in March, and it's also the Grace Gathering. So we know that it's going to be a great time. Awesome. Glad that it's been a productive day for you. Well, thank you for joining us again. This is episode 16 of the Grace Talk. We've been having these conversations since the beginning of November, and this is an opportunity for women to share their stories. They can talk about their entrepreneurial journey. They can talk about their ministry, testimony, the trials, tribulations, just a place for us to just have a conversation. I welcome you to join the conversation in the chat. If something resonates with you, let us know. If you have questions or anything, you can let us know that as well. My name is Belinda, and I have had the awesome opportunity of being the coordinator for our upcoming Grace Gathering. Our event is in less than 2 weeks. Well, tomorrow will be 2 weeks. And if you haven't already, please make sure that you register for the event. Registration actually ends tomorrow. So if you have not registered and you have some of your friends, families, coworkers, maybe some of your enemies or some of your haters, send them the link to our website. It's wograce.com, and you can find out all the details for the Grace Gathering. We know that it's going to be an amazing time, and we know that God will meet you there. Our theme for this event is Relentless Faith, God's Got You. And we have some dynamic speakers that will be sharing what God has laid on their heart. On that Friday evening, Dr. Deidre Hill is going to kick us off. Saturday morning, we'll have Apostle Karen Dones, and Dr. Matisa Wilbin will bring us in with our praise party on Saturday night. We will have a jam-packed schedule on that Friday morning. We're going to have, we'll culminate our Girl Talk by having an in-person Girl Talk panel where we have some dynamic ladies that will continue this conversation we've been having since November. On that Saturday morning, we are going to, or that Saturday afternoon, we're going to have a high tea. So please don't forget your Sunday hat or your fascinator, and make sure we are giving prizes for the best dressed. So wear your spring dresses and your beautiful hats. We're going to have a garden party, so we want you to join us for some high tea after service on Saturday. And then Saturday night, we're going to put a praise on it, and we're going to have an awesome time in the Lord. So if you have not registered, please go to our website, wograce.com, to register. We do have 2 community service projects. So that Saturday evening, we will be giving the donations that we collected. We're collecting baby and maternity items for Sheltering Grace Ministries in Marietta, Georgia. And then we're also going to be collecting financial donations for our international service project with the American Jamaica Link. So whether you're able to attend or not, and you're interested in helping us serve others, please consider either donating physical items for Sheltering Grace or making a financial contribution to that organization or either American Jamaica Link. So I think I've gotten all of my announcements out of the way. Let's go ahead and start our conversation. I have the awesome pleasure tonight to talk to one of my actual close friends. She promised that she was going to be on her best behavior, but I'm not quite sure. But I have the awesome opportunity to talk to La'Tasha Reeves. She is the recruitment and compliance coordinator for the Georgia Parent Support Network. So, Tasha, if you don't mind, tell us a little bit about yourself and also your role as a foster care recruiter.
Hello, hello. I am so honored to be here. I love Belinda and, of course, all of the women of grace. They have been in my life for about 20 years. Um, Mrs. Phillips would probably say that I'm her daughter that's always kind of doing a little too much and not enough at the same time, but she still loves me just the same. So I always appreciate her, and I always appreciate Tasha as well, who always loves me also because I'm the other sister named Tasha. So I've known Belinda for about 20 years now. We met at Georgia Southern University. That is where we began our friendship, and it's continued to date. As she mentioned, I am a foster care recruiter and compliance coordinator for the best agency in Georgia, if I could say so myself. We're called Georgia Parent Support Network. At Georgia Parent Support Network, we've been around since 1989, and we have some of the best foster parents in Georgia. We have a contract with the Division of Family and Children Services, and that is those children are in state custody, and that's how they come into our program. I am a new mom. I have a baby girl. Her name is Sage. Um, Belinda and I were talking before. We made sure we put Sage away with her dad because she's kind of going crazy right now. She goes through a bit of separation anxiety when she's not with mom. So Sage is having a meltdown right now, but we made sure she was far away so we can't even hear her melting down right now. She'll probably be asleep by the time we get done. So that's a little bit about me. She recently turned 1 years old on the 19th. So I'm really enjoying, thank you, being a new mother. And it's definitely a rewarding journey, a very challenging journey, to say the least, but very rewarding at the same
Awesome. So, what inspired you to start working in foster care?
time. Actually, when I was in college, I wanted to become an attorney. So my background was in justice studies, and then I started in probation. But after working there for a while, it really didn't it really did not jive well with my personality. I'm not really a authoritative type of person. I'm more of an empathetic type of person. So I kind of moved away from that correction side of things and went more into the social service field. So after joining that field and starting off working with at a youth counseling center, I was never able to turn back. I just fell in love with the kids and helping them and seeing them grow and seeing their changes. So that just kept me in this field.
Awesome. So, can you kind of tell us a little bit about the foster care system and some of the challenges that children and families are kind of involved in?
Yes, here in Georgia, a lot of people don't really understand how many children and families are affected by the system. But as of 2023, we received probably over 100,000 intake calls for kids. I know it's crazy when I say the numbers. People are like, "Are you kidding?" No, these statistics can be found at the Georgia Division of Family and Children Resources. In order to fact check me, you can fact check me. We take a lot of intake calls. All of these intake calls, of course, do not end in a child or children being removed from their home, but we do receive over 100,000 calls per year. Within receiving those calls, we usually try to, because Georgia has a family centered model, meaning that we try to give services to the family before we just go in and take their children. So we give services to a lot of the families, and that eliminates them from actually coming into the foster care system. But as of right now, today, there are 13,000 children in the foster care system that are currently in foster homes or group homes, or they don't call them group homes anymore. They call them like child caring institutes. They're in those, or those psychiatric residential treatment facilities. They're in either of those places.
And you said these 13,000, is that just within Georgia or like the metro Atlanta area or?
So it's complete state of Georgia. Yeah, it's the complete state of Georgia, but not nationwide, just Georgia only. And that's
And would you say that most of the children that are in foster care are
affected.
black and brown?
Oh, you froze. Can you tell me one more time?
I said, would you say that most of the children that are in foster care are they black and brown?
No, actually, the largest number is white.
Okay.
But with looking at our population here in Georgia, we still have a larger population of Caucasians. So it kind of just goes with the population. So the largest number is Caucasian. After that, it is Black and African American.
Okay. And what do you think, or what do you believe is the most important things we can do to help support those in foster care and our future generations in general?
Well, in order to support children that are in foster care, the very first thing is to not make them feel like kids that are in foster care. Sometimes people, they always want to kind of put them on display. Like, what's your story? Is your mom on crack? Or did you get left in a trash can? Like, it always has to be these like extreme stories that some of them, that is their story. So it's like, would you want people to kind of always want you to relive your trauma every time you say you're in foster care? People are always like, how did you get here? So where's your biological family? So my biggest thing is to treat these children like children. Treat them like they were your own children, like your nieces and nephews. If they need help, provide help to them, volunteer, mentor. If you have children that are in school and they know people that are in foster care, kind of teach your children to be kind to them because these kids have gone through a lot of trauma. Any child that's in the foster care system, we could probably all agree that they have experienced a lot of trauma. Just being normal with them, showing them that you are more than just a foster child, you're more than foster care.
Gotcha. And so, how does, because 9 times out of 10, every home has their own sort of normal,
Mm-hmm.
and their normal may not be the normal that we have in the household that they're in. So, how
Mm-hmm.
do you get them to understand and be okay with this new normal,
The new
especially if it
norm.
could be a temporary normal?
Yes, what I tell people is to meet a child where they are. A lot of times we always want someone to kind of come into our house and immediately acclimate to what we do in our families. But if you are to become a foster parent, you need to recognize that that may not be the normal for this child. Of course, if they're doing things that are dangerous, as it relates to safety, those are a big no no. Certain things you just can't do. But for an example, we had a child, they used a lot of profanity in their home. Of course, that is not anything that most people would allow their child to do. So, of course, you want to redirect this child and say, hey, that's not the right type of language to use. But when this child uses this language, you I don't we don't want to get calls like, hey, come get this kid out of my house because they're using profanity. You're gonna have to meet them where they are and try to get them to get to the level of where they need to be. Because if that's not what is their normal, they're just gonna do what they think is normal. And unfortunately, a lot of people, they do a lot of different things to their children and raise them in ways that are very horrific, and you would be surprised.
Yeah, you've shared some stories with me, and it's just like I could never imagine some of the things that these children have encountered.
Hmm.
Um, but I mean, they have a story, but it's like how of being compassionate with them and, being that loving person and extending that hospitality to them. So it,
And
I,
just having that patience with them. You have to have that patience. I like to tell parents who are deciding to embark on the journey of becoming a foster parent, like, you are going to need a support system. You need to have something that provides you with self care. You need to know yourself and know when you're burned out, know how to open your mouth and ask for help and resources when necessary, because this isn't going to be easy. I tell
mm,
them all the time, we're the only ones here by choice. Everybody else is here by force. So the kid may not be as grateful as you want them to be, or, they come in like, hey, I'm giving this child this great life. They have their own room now. And it's like, to this kid, that's not so great. So you just need to meet them on the level that they are. If they feel like sleeping on the floor is better than sleeping in your big, nice, comfy bed, put them a pallet on the floor and say, I'm going to give you the choice. If you want to continue to sleep on the floor, but here's a nice bed for you. And maybe kind of graduate up to the things that are more normal, but trying to like turn it right off or right on for them as soon as they enter your home, that's a disaster waiting to happen. Trust me, I see a lot of disasters too.
Gotcha. So tell us a little bit about the recruitment process for those who may be interested. Like, how do you know that you're ready? Or
Well, sometimes you don't know if you're ready or not. I've had a lot of people that were pushed into the foster care system with their own family members coming into foster care. Sometimes you're just forced to become a foster parent. So sometimes their family members, or sometimes close friends have issues, and then they're able to become foster parents that way. I've had situations where children become friends with children that are in their school, and then they're like, Mom, please, this kid is going to have to leave. Can you please do what you need to do so that they could come live with us? I've had that situation as well. And a lot of times, just information and the knowledge of what it actually takes is what actually tells you if you're ready or not. Me, as the recruiter, I am someone who's very transparent. I don't sugarcoat it, because sugarcoating it does nothing for anybody. You know, if I tell you, oh, everything is great, it's peaches and cream, you're gonna get the best kids in your house. When you get that kid that is threatening suicide, or that kid that steals your wallet and goes on a shopping spree online and has 80-inch TVs delivered to your house, these are real stories. We've had kids that have stolen foster parents' vehicles, and we caught them, state patrol rolling down 75 with their boyfriends. So you need to be prepared. This is not a game. And that's what I always tell people, like, please don't come to me and tell me about the goodies and the gumdrops, because, that's where you graduate to once this child is in your home and you've stabilized the child. But for you to think just because they're coming in my home, I'm going to just love them up and they're going to change their ways and this love is going to make everything okay. It requires a lot more, and you need to be prepared and understand that it's going to require a lot more. They're going to need assistance, they're going to need their therapist, that you're going to need your supports. You're going to need to get to know this child. They may need to get into some extracurricular activities. Just learn them and treat them like you would want your own children to be treated. That's it.
gotcha. So for those who are there certain requirements that you have to meet in order to be a foster care or a foster parent?
Yes, there are certain requirements for that. You have to be at least 25 years old. You do not have to be married. You can be a single parent, but when you are a single parent, we will limit the number of children that we're going to place in your home. A lot of single moms, they get upset with me. They're like, well, why are you saying I can't get a sibling set of six? But I feel like it's doing a disservice to the children for you to be one single person having to maintain so many children on your own. And then all it does is create chaos. And then they say, oh, these aren't your children. So at any time they can call us and we have to remove them from their home. So we like to make sure we're making a quality placement, meaning that when we put you here, we plan on you staying until you get to your next level of permanency. And the next level of permanency is usually reunifying with their family. That's always the goal. Like, we're not trying to take people's kids and not allow them to go back home to their families. But some parents, if we're being honest and frank, they don't want their kids back. So they don't work their plans. They have no intention of coming to do any therapy, any training classes, parenting classes. They're not doing anything. And those kids are probably going to end up going up for adoption. And sometimes they just age out of foster care as well.
So is there like a time commitment that you have to have if you're wanting to be a foster parent?
No, there is no time commitment. You can start this and then feel like you don't want to continue. And again, since these aren't your children, we would have to remove them from your home. But there is no set time commitment that you have to do. Also, potential parents, they have to obviously go through the normal things: a drug screen, a background check. We have to verify that you don't have any previous child abuse cases. You don't have any previous felony arrests that involve children or any type of violence or anything like that. We also check your finances. We don't look for a specific amount, like you have to make 100,000, 50,000. It's nothing like that. We just verify that you're able to maintain your home without any type of assistance of a per diem, because they do receive a per diem for keeping these kids in their home. But we need to know that you're not trying to keep kids just to get a per diem. And then I also tell people, we don't want to cause financial stress on you because kids cost a lot of money. So if you're telling me that every month you're kind of already in the negative in your bank account, it wouldn't be wise for me to place more kids there and then just cause additional stresses to you and your situation anyway, even if they receive a per diem, because a lot of things are reimbursed. We don't give you money up front. Like if you go buy them clothes or something, you have to turn in your receipts and then we reimburse you for the money. So it's like if you didn't have the money to pay for it first, how could we reimburse you? Because it's a reimbursable model.
Gotcha. Someone asks, how often do foster parents desire to adopt the children?
Actually, that happens a lot because, of course, once a child becomes acclimated to the home and you guys actually become a family, most of the time, if this child is free and clear, that meaning that their parents' parental rights have been terminated, they're ready to adopt. Most of our foster parents that have kids in their home more than 2 years, they end up adopting their kids. We have several foster parents who became adoptive parents. And I've had them adopt kids that they've had in their home since they were 2 days old to kids to sibling sets of 8, all get adopted by one family. Yeah, I
So
love, I love adoption.
now, for those, like, what is the process? Let's just say I come to you, Tasha. I'm interested in being a foster parent. How long does it typically take before you say I'm ready to
It's
get
going
a
to take about 6 months,
child?
3 to 6 months, because you have to do training classes. Unlike, when we have our own kids, nobody gives you training or a manual or anything like that. Foster care is completely different. We give you a manual, we give you training, we give you what you need in order to foster these kids. You have to take state mandated training courses as well as CPR first aid and a nonviolent crisis prevention class. And in that nonviolent crisis prevention, they just teach you like how to recognize crisis situations, how to see that a child is feeling anxious, how to deliver like bad news to a child. And if a child were to get violent with you, how to get out of like a child holding your hair or trying to attack you. We do these physical interventions where it's not like you're all out fighting with the child, but you are getting yourself to safety and you're getting the child to a safe space.
Gotcha. And do you all offer some type of training, like if they have kids and they're adding the foster kids, of how to some tips of managing those relationships?
Yes, and me, I go out to the home when they become a foster parent. I have to go out to their home, check the family dynamics, and then I do an entire home study evaluation on the entire family. Um, just a side note, that's my favorite part of the job. Belinda will tell you I am nosy Rosie.
Yes.
I do very good. That's why I do very good at this job because I love getting up in their business. And I'm talking, I want it all. And I tell them, please don't sugarcoat it and don't leave anything out. Let's start with your parents. How was your relationship with your parents? I mean, I want to take it all the way back to the beginning because your history and what you've been doing, it kind of gives me an idea of what your values are and kind of how you are going to interact with these kids. And then it definitely helps when there are children in the house too, because I get to then also see how are you as a parent. If you're saying you want to parent children, but your kids are, really disrespectful, not doing well in school, certain things, it's kind of like, I'm sorry, but I keep it real. You're not that great of a parent, so I
And do
don't.
you tell people that?
Yeah, yeah, I have to keep it real now. We're not doing that. I told you, Belinda, I tell them I have to be able to sleep at night. And the way that I sleep at night is by knowing that I'm being very thorough with this job and that I am making sure that I'm licensing the right type of people to become foster parents. Because if I just say, whatever, and just listen to whatever they say, I will be in trouble a lot of times. I mean, I've had people who I went out to a lady's house to do an assessment and her lights was off, like cut off. And I was like, how do you think you're going to have foster kids? She said, well, I'll have them turn back on by the time they get here.
But what you doing?
Oh, man, you're not going to become a foster parent. If you can't maintain your own living environment, then no, we're not adding kids. I'm sorry. No, I'm sorry. Yeah, I've had parents come to training and ask me for gas money on the way home. I'm like, you asked me for some gas money? Yeah, no, no, no. You're not gonna be able to do this.
So do
Bye.
you like have that conversation right then, or do y'all like slide them a letter, email them a letter,
Oh
and say,
no, no! I'm taking it to the front door. I'm not scared. I'm coming right for you. I'm not gonna do it in class in front of others. Of course, I wouldn't ever do that to anyone. But as class is being dismissed, I say, "Hey, Belinda, can I talk to you for a minute?" And then I would talk, and I say, "Yeah, I don't think you need to come back next Saturday. I don't think this is gonna work out for you." And I would give them the reasons why. And of course, I've had people get very upset with me. I've had people try to use fake IDs to become foster parents. I had someone who he had been convicted of sex offenses. He tried to become a foster father. So it's very important that I'm always very thorough because if I'm not, people will tell me anything out of their mouth. I've learned that. I see that Miss Brenda asks how long I've been doing this. I am on my 8 year anniversary. Is coming up in May. So I've been working with Georgia Parent for 8 years now.
wow.
So I have
So
a lot of horror stories and beautiful stories as well, and those are the ones I love the best.
so like, does it take like for every 10 people that you talk to, you're hoping that one of them becomes a foster parent?
Yes, because once they get all the information on how invasive the process is, a lot of people drop out. I also have to remind them that once your home becomes open, your home is open. So people come into your home, and sometimes they're strangers, different case managers, defects workers, workers from Georgia Parent, people from the state, therapists. So that's a lot of interaction and action constantly going on in your house. And of course, you're always kind of on display and you're always being looked at and assessed. From the moment I step into the neighborhood, I'm assessing the home. I'm looking at how clean your yard is. I'm checking if it's junk cars in the yard. I'm checking if it's dirt and debris. I'm checking to see if your house is not clean. I mean, we go into their refrigerators, we go in their bedrooms. I make them open up their shed. I'm all in the business. That's what I just tell them, and it's not just me, because some people may feel comfortable with me, and then when someone else comes, they don't want to do it. But everybody who goes there, it's our responsibility to make sure there's nothing crazy going on because the moment that there is something out of place, that's on us because we're signing documentation saying we went out to these places and we checked these things. And if I've had people say, no, don't go down to the basement, it's dirty. I say, I don't care, let me see, because you could have somebody tied up down there in the basement for all I know. So I gotta go down there. Sorry, they don't like it, but I'm gonna go, and that's why I let them know from the very beginning. It's very evasive. So if that doesn't work for you, we don't have to waste each other's time, and I won't feel offended, and I hope you're not offended, but we can end the process. So no, not everybody works out.
Gotcha. And like, how do you all, with there being so many foster children, I'm assuming that your company does not have all of these foster children. Like, how do you all get your foster children?
They come directly from DFACS, all of our foster children. Georgia Parent Support Network, we've been around since 1989. We are a therapeutic foster care agency, meaning that we take higher level kids. So our phones never stop ringing. We get referrals constantly. The majority of these kids, they have mental health diagnoses, educational delays, developmental delays. Some of them are medically fragile, and some of them are really large sibling groups.
What does medically fragile mean?
Medically fragile just means that they need sometimes a nurse on staff,
Okay.
someone who can care for them. In addition, they are unable to do the normal things of what their age is supposed to be developmentally appropriate for them. They have documented medical diagnoses that require additional help.
Gotcha. So it could be that you have this child, but you have to take them to like additional doctor's appointments, or it could be that they have like a nurse, like around the clock care or something like
Around
that.
the clock care sometimes. Sometimes we get young babies, they have feeding tubes. A lot of these kids are coming from rural places now with all of the opioids and the meth addictions and stuff, and they're born with certain addictions, certain diagnoses. So when they have that, those are the children that get identified as medically fragile. Then we have, children with other diagnoses, cerebral palsy, MS, just different diagnoses. If they have medical diagnoses that are serious and severe, not like your normal allergies but like a child may have cancer. Some of them are terminally ill. So we'll take those children as well. And those are, those parents have to be prepared for what could potentially occur in their home. And
Gotcha.
they
And
get
so,
additional training from Children's Healthcare of Atlanta, not just your normal training.
gotcha. Okay. So there's kind of like levels to this as far as the placement of what type of children go with what certain parents. Because I'm
Yes,
assuming the parents have to okay that they are willing to take on the
yes.
medically fragile or those with mental health issues and all of that.
Yes, during the process of them becoming a foster parent, we have those discussions about we have something called a placement preference form, and they kind of fill out and we kind of get an understanding of what they feel that they can work with or what they feel that they would a child would benefit from living with them, and then some things that they're like, that's a hard no, I don't want that, or I don't want that diagnosis in my home, or I don't want that type of child in my home, and we have to be okay with it. This particular form has all kinds of behaviors, like a child that sets fires, a child that is cruel to animals, a child that has been sexually abused, a child that abuses drugs, a child that abuses alcohol, a child that wets the bed. We ask all of these types of questions to see what type of child they feel that they are able to work with, and then we place them from there.
So what children do you all have the hardest time placing?
So in the entire state of Georgia, the hardest to place are the teenagers, because a lot of people are afraid of teenagers. They feel like this is just me quoting them, they're stuck in their ways and they are already too far gone. I've had a lot of people say things like that. Again, I don't like that, but I can't force them to take teenagers if that's not what the population they feel they can work with. But a lot of the teenagers, they don't like to take them. And a lot of our more severe diagnoses, that would be like your schizophrenia, your bipolar, sometimes just because of the unknown, and families are afraid to bring that around their own families. So they're a lot harder to place. And a lot of times when we have kids with those higher level diagnoses, they can't be placed with other kids. And
Mhm.
sometimes a family may want to help several children, so they don't really want to take that one and then they can't take anymore.
Gotcha.
And then the teens, they always they when we can't find placement for them, they have to stay in a hotel. We have children here in Georgia that aren't in a foster home, aren't in a group home. They literally live in a hotel, and
By themselves?
a behavior aide has to come and stay in the room with them, but they're not inside of the room. They kind of just man the door and they get the hotel right across or right in front of, so they can verify that they're not like sneaking out and stuff. But that becomes very difficult because you remove me from my home to put me in a hotel. That's kind of crazy. Back in 2021, we set a goal for the state of Georgia, and we got all of the kids out of the hotels, but we're back at hoteling kids again, because we are in desperate need of foster parents that will take teenagers. And then also we have a bad sex trafficking problem here in Georgia. So a lot of these kids, they're used to making their own money and doing different things already. So they sneak out, they get their pimps to come pick them up. And, when the pimps show up, it's kind of like we can't fight with them because, we can't put yourself on the line. So all we can do is call the police. But at that time, the child is gone because they will call and say, "Hey, come get me. I'm at 123 Main Street." And these kids, they sneak cell phones, and then a lot of them, they have their own phones. So unless there's an issue, we're not going to just take their phone. But with them having their phone and that kind of access, yeah, they'll leave, and then sometimes they run away and we never find them again.
So how old can you be to be in a hotel? Like, is there at least an average, or you have to be at least 15 or something?
Well, they try to keep it at 15, but if your behaviors are very severe, I've seen them hotel 13-year-olds. Depending on the severity of your behaviors and your diagnoses. And like I said, if you going into homes and the kids are like fighting with the parents or fighting with the children that are already in the home, and they're kind of just acting wild and out of control, and none of the parents want to kind of stabilize them in their home, those are the kids that are ending up in the hotels at a younger age. It's like we had a young boy, he was fighting with everyone, trying to fight with the other kids, trying to fight with the dad, trying to fight with the mom. He went from our agency to a different agency, still doing the same thing, another agency, and they don't have anywhere for him to go. They'll put him in like a treatment center, but those are like temporary places. So after he does his 7 days, 15 days, 30 days, then they'll try to get him a placement. But after he got such a bad reputation, nobody, when you call, you have to tell the parent what their history is. So nobody wants to hear like this kid has been fighting with everybody. He tried to attack me. He tried to attack my husband. It becomes more and more difficult to place.
So, child gets in foster care, right? We, of course, try to put them with their family. Do they immediately go to, if possible, depending on their needs, a foster home? Or do they go to the institutions that you were talking about? Like, how do they?
Well, when they come into foster care, the first thing that we try to do is place them with a family member or a fictive kin. Now, again, some people don't have those resources because sometimes, I mean, we've had situations where generations are on drugs. So if we take them from mom, grandma's on drugs, sisters on drugs, friends on drugs, so they can't go with them. They end up in foster care. So the bulk of placements are in foster care. We
Okay.
try only after you've kind of been unsuccessful in a home, because we want you to have that home environment. Only after you've been unsuccessful in that home environment do you graduate up to that institute, that child caring institute, which is a group home. More people, they are, I go to some of these places, I've been to a lot of places, they're nasty. Like, it feels like jail, really, almost. It's horrific. I hate them. I don't like them.
Gotcha. And for the kids that, especially you're talking about your teenagers, when do you age out of foster care?
You age out of foster care when you turn 18 on your 18th birthday. If you are 18 and you're still in school or you plan to go to college, you can sign yourself back into foster care, and you are able to remain in foster care until you finish college. I always encourage all the children that are in foster care to utilize all the resources that are available to them, because 25% of the kids that age out of foster care end up homeless because they obviously already don't have a family. So where do you go? Like, what do you do? So you just end up on the streets. You end up doing questionable things for money, girls and boys, different lifestyle, and it's just a bad situation for them. So anytime our kids are 18, we always encourage them to sign yourself back into care so that you can continue to receive your resources, which will be, we're going to help you try to get a job if you decide you don't want a job. We're going to try to help you get into a 2-year technical college or a 4-year university if that's what you're looking for. DFACE also has some exceptional programs. We do a matching program where if a child saves up $2,000, they'll match their $2,000 with $2,000 so that they can get them like a little used car or something. Um, we have an independent living program as well, where they are able to live in apartment complexes. They pay their bills for them. They give them furniture. They help them sign up for food stamps, just everything to kind of try to set them up. Because again, unlike us, who have parents and people and family to lean on when you need help, they don't have anybody. So basically the state is their help. So we just encourage them to please don't sign yourself out of care, especially if you don't have a plan or something that you're actually doing. Unfortunately, some kids don't listen to us, and then they try to come back. But if you turn 18 in 6 months and one day, you can't sign yourself back in anymore after that. It's a 6-month window after you turn 18. So if you leave and then you start doing whatever and then you're like, hey, I want to go back, you don't get to go back. That's it.
Mm.
That's it.
So, what about those people who may feel that, hey, I'm not able to be a foster parent, but I understand that there are needs? Is there a way that those individuals or communities can come together to be of support or resources for different
Yeah,
agencies?
Yes, most definitely. I see Tasha put in the chat about CASA workers. Those are very, very important people. Those are court appointed special advocates. So you're not actually having kids in your home, but you are going out and you're advocating for children. And most of the time, those kids that get CASA services, they're kids in the foster care system. So we encourage always for people to volunteer at their local CASA. We also ask that if you know someone who's fostering, something to help them out, like, hey, give them a gift card, offer to babysit for, a couple of hours for them to go do something for self-care, and always kind of spread awareness about foster care. Refer them to Tasha if they said they want to become foster parents. Make me look good for my job now. I'm trying to get me a raise this year.
We got to get those numbers up.
We
Gotcha.
gotta get my numbers up. Come on, they said, Tasha, you gotta stop turning them away.
But you like, I can't just let
No, so
anybody
they
take care
know
of children.
they are very supportive of whoever I say that is not a good fit. I'll give them the rundown, and they're always like, what to do. They're always like, well, we're gonna send Tasha. I say, y'all think I'm the bulldog of this agency? They're like, yeah, Tasha's our complete guard dog. She's like at the fence, like, no, no, they're not gonna work. They're not getting my kids. I always told people before I had my own daughter that I had 13,000 kids, and they would say, what? How many kids? I'm like, yeah, I got 13,000 plus. So if you want some of these babies, you got to show me you ready for the challenge. And if not, you can hit the dough. And I'm not afraid to tell you. Sorry.
God, okay. All
So
right.
yeah, always just support them though.
For
And
those
then
who are,
also donate. And also you can always donate to your local DFACs, or what we are called, my agency, we're called child placement agencies or CPAs. I know a lot of people think about public accountants, but I can't do your taxes. So don't come to me asking me for that, because I don't do taxes. I do babies. I help you with the babies. I'm different. Now, don't come at me with no math problems, y'all. I can do some writing, but I don't want to
you
do
do,
math.
you're an excellent writer.
Those are my strengths. So that's what I do. So yes, you can find out who your local CPAs are, and you can work with those CPAs. And we accept volunteers, and we also accept donations year round. We get a lot of donations.
Gotcha. So, for those who are interested, what are the qualifications, or if they were interested in signing up with your agency? Like, do they have to live? Can I live anywhere in Georgia? What are
So
the
our parents have to live in Atlanta or the metro area. So of course, DeKalb, Gwinnett, anywhere metro of
Mhm.
Atlanta. We are located in Atlanta off University and Metropolitan. If you're familiar with the area, we in the trenches. That's what I like to tell
That's your neck of the
people.
woods.
Hey, that's my neck of the woods, and I'm grassroots with it. I'm in the ground with it now. I'm all over the place. I'm spreading awareness. I go places. I just randomly make people give me things for my kids. I'm like, it's Halloween. Who's gonna donate all the candy for all my kids? And they're like, how many kids you got? 100. And they're like,
You have not because you asked not.
right. And usually when I tell you, people are so receptive. And with me just opening up my mouth, I've received so many donations for them just all over. And, I enjoy going out to speak and just getting things for them, and just knowing that these things are benefiting them. Like, the kids love it. They're always like, Miss Tasha, what you got for us? And I'm like, I got something for you. Hold on, let me see.
Oh, that is so sweet. So you can find your local CPA, but not her for no taxes. But if you are interested, you can definitely contact Tasha.
Contact
And
me.
yes, so what about if you know of some children who may not be getting the best of care, and like something is going on? What can I do if they have the saying, if you see something, say something? Who do I say something to?
Yes, you definitely need to contact your local defects office. There is a dedicated line to make reports and referrals. Now, once you make this report, I know a lot of people get afraid and they're like, oh, we'll just use example. Tasha's my friend. I don't want her to know that I called them. It can be completely anonymous. Now, for people like myself, and if anybody plans to become a foster parent, we are mandated reporters. So there is no me seeing something and I turn a blind eye to it. I can't do it.
I
Sometimes
ain't been on
people,
the phone with you when you like, I'm gonna have to report it.
I'm gonna call. I don't care. Yep, call me what you want to call me, but I'm calling. You will not be doing these kids any kind of way. If your kids are wandering around outside, I'm gonna go get your kids, and then I'm gonna call on you. And it's as simple as that. And they don't know. I don't even have to call the line. I got dedicated people. I just call. So don't do me because these kids will be gone. You gotta do right because God has entrusted you with these children's lives, and you should, do what you need to do. And if you can't do that, then reach out for some help because it's a lot of resources and a lot of help out here if you feel overwhelmed with your children or if you have problems providing for your kids because that is the reason that most kids come into care neglect. A lot of people think it's like physical abuse, sexual abuse, but it's neglect. Medical neglect, not taking your kids if they have diagnosed issues, not taking them to the doctor like you're supposed to, educational neglect, allowing your kids not to go to school. They don't play that. You got to take your kids to school. If you find yourself in that truancy court, they coming for them kids. So you better teach your kids in school and just not having your resources in order. Again, we're going to try to wrap around the family and provide the family with resources. But if we're unable to, that's when their kids come into care for neglect.
Gotcha. Awesome. Well, you've opened my eyes to a lot in regards to the foster care system. If you're feeling that gentle tug to maybe be a foster parent or to help those kids, make sure you got your life together. Because if not, it's going to be a Tasha or someone like Tasha who going to come in all of your mess.
I'm coming and I'm checking. And you can't just tell me anything because I'm like, well, last time you told me this and this not adding up. What you mean? And I'm checking references. I'm going to ask you for people that I can call to verify. Because again, if you want to do something and you want to be sinister with it, of course you'll know how to cover up what you're saying. So I'm going to do my due diligence though to kind of check and verify who you are.
Gotcha. And she's also gonna use some discernment and asking the Lord, like, if
Every day.
if this not right, please tell
Every
me.
day. That's my prayer. That's my prayer whenever I have these training classes, whenever I have information sessions. I pray before each of them and just ask God if these people are not for me, for him to reveal what he needs to reveal to me so that I can know how to also, I joke around a lot, but sometimes it is hard to deliver bad news to people and to be that person to say, no, you can't do this when someone wants to do it. So I just, pray. I just pray that he gives me the strength to continue with this and to not be afraid and to stand up for the people that don't have a voice.
So you get into my last question. So here at Women of Grace, and you've met some of the members,
Yeah,
we
beautiful.
are a big proponent, yes, of prayer. And so I like to end each girl talk with asking, how can we pray for you? And you can be selfish on what you need God to do for you, but you can also include your foster kids and parents as well, whatever you want. Let's
Yes, I would just ask for prayer for discernment, continued strength, continued resilience as it relates to, like I told you guys, I am a new mom. So the first 6 years of doing this, they were a breeze. I was always available. I could always do everything. But after having a daughter, like I said, I haven't heard any more meltdowns. So I'm assuming she's sleeping there. um, just how to navigate that and to just make sure that she still gets what she needs and that I'm also able to continue to do an excellent job at what I'm doing with the kids in foster care. I, of course, always want to pray for the foster kids that whatever the desires of their heart are, because some of them want to go back home to their parents. So if that's what that means, if God could just bless that family to get to the place that they need to get their kids back so that this child can feel whole again because it is a lot remove, being in someone else's home. So I'm always asking for that. And I'm just always asking for the right people to come into my life and for the right people to do what needs to be done to help these children and families in the best way possible.
gotcha. So if you're interested in filling that tug in the Metro Atlanta area, contact Tasha.
Mhm.
She'll start the process. She'll whip you into shape.
I'm
She'll take good care of you. Um, but you just make sure you got your life together. Okay, don't come in here
Please
lying because
don't
she
tell
gonna
me that
figure it
your husband, he's committed 3 murders and 4 drug trafficking charges, and can you be a foster parent? No, you can't. Sorry.
out. She's not gonna allow it. So
The state won't allow it, but I wouldn't either. But the state won't either.
You won't. I got it. Gotcha. Well, I want to thank you again for
Thank
taking time
you.
out of your day to share. Um, the this is our next to the last girl talk before our event. I do like to give the shameless plug again that we are having our annual gathering in 2 weeks. It's going to be at the Hilton Atlanta Marietta Conference Center. It's March the 15th and 16th. If you have not registered, you have less than 24 hours. Registration ends on tomorrow, March the 1st. So
Get
go to
those
our website.
registrations in.
What you say?
Get those registrations in.
Yes, please. We have a seat saved just for you. You can go to our website, worgrace.com, to register. Tell a friend, tell a sister, tell all of your people. But we want to see you in the place. I thank you again, Tasha, for spending Thursday with me. And I thank all of those who tuned in. You can check out all of our other conversations on our Facebook page as well as our YouTube channel. And we hope you all have a great rest of your Thursday.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me.